I'm Jamie Buckingham. Shalom from Israel. One of the great New Testament words used to describe the church is the Greek word koinonia. It means community or fellowship. Many years after the resurrection of Jesus, the Apostle John wrote a short instructional letter to the churches that were springing up all over the Middle East. If we walk in the light, he encouraged them, as he, Jesus, is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. That word fellowship is the Greek word koinonia. It describes a group of people who love each other enough that they will share their lives, serve each other, even die for each other. That's the kind of community Luke observed when he described the early church in Acts 4. All the believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of his possessions was his own, but they shared everything they had. There were no needy persons among them. I believe it's built into the heart of everyone who loves God to live peacefully together in a loving community. We see something of that in Israel today in the kibbutz system. In this video, I'm in a children's playground on a Sunday morning in a Jewish kibbutz in northern Israel, talking about community. Nothing symbolizes the spirit of modern Israel as much as the kibbutz. The kibbutz, the plural of which is kibbutzim, is a farming or industrial community where people live and work, holding all things in common. There are more than 300 kibbutzim in Israel, ranging in size from 200 to 1,000 in population. They're found all over the nation of Israel. The newest ones are right on the borders in the areas where heavy fighting took place just a few months ago. This morning, I'm in a children's playground at Kibbutz Daphna, just a mile from the Lebanese border. Here on this now peaceful playground, rockets from the PLO, fired from the notorious Beaufort Castle, high on a mountain in southern Lebanon, used to explode almost daily. The last time I was here, visiting with a group of Christian young people who came to live and minister, this place was pockmarked with craters from PLO rockets which had exploded. The kibbutz people hold all property in common. There's no private ownership of houses or furniture or automobiles. Meals are eaten in a common dining hall where all community members take their turns working. All decisions are made by democratic vote. It is pure communal life. Today's kibbutz here in Israel has much of the flavor of the early church. The Greek word in the Bible for Christian community or fellowship is koinonia. That's what the early church was, a family of brothers and sisters. In Acts 2, that church, which should be the ideal for us on this Sunday in Lent, is described. All believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to everyone as he had need. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. In 1908, 12 young people, walking from Eastern Europe, immigrated to what was then called Palestine. They settled on a barren, treeless hillside in a place called Degania, where the Jordan River exits the Sea of Galilee. They were determined to prove to themselves and to the world that Jews can return to their roots and make a living off the land. They were the first pioneers of the kibbutz movement. Following the War of Independence in 1948, many new kibbutzim started as thousands of Jews arrived from all over the world. Some, while believing in communal life, wanted to maintain private ownership. They started other communities called moshavs. I visited one of these last week in the Negev desert, where they raise turkeys and, of all things, ostriches. Most important, they're farming and turning the desert green by raising vegetables under plastic in the scorching desert sun. Turning Israel green began at Kibbutz Degania. The Galilean hills were without trees at the beginning of this century.
Now, thanks to the kibbutzniks, much of the nation is covered with forests. Now all Israelis and many friends of Israel join in the ceremony of planting trees yearly. In fact, in the southern city of Eilat, which used to be all desert, trees abound. Once a year, the city plants a tree in a place called the Children's Forest, in the name of every child born in Eilat. All over Israel, children participate in tree planting. Schools send their classes on field trips to archaeological sites. Then, going to some barren place, these children plant trees, making the desert bloom. There are few sights more inspiring than listening as 100 children recite the prayer of planting as they stick their little trees into the earth of Israel. Thou who buildest Zion and Jerusalem, take pleasure in thy land, and bestow upon it thy goodness and thy grace. Give dew for a blessing, and cause beneficial rains to fall in their season, to satiate the mountains of Israel and her valleys, and to water thereon every plant and tree, and these saplings which we plant before thee this day. Make deep their roots, wide their crown, that they may blossom forth in grace amongst all the trees in Israel for good and for beauty. And strengthen the hands of all our brethren who toil to revive the sacred soil and make fruitful its wastes. Bless, O Lord, their might, and may the work of their hands find favor before thee. Look down from thy holy habitation from heaven, and bless this land, that it may flow again with milk and honey. Amen. Today, pray for this nation of Israel, and on this Sunday give thanks for our kibbutz, the church, our spiritual family, which makes our lives flourish like the green olive tree.